Welcome to this men's scissor cutting tutorial. My name's Michael Home. I've been a barber for over 20 years and I'm going to walk you through a men's scissor cut step by step, starting right here. This type of hair is what we call 2B. That's the hair type. It's quite wavy and incidentally quite easy to work with. Right at the start, what we need to do is get lots of water on this. Water gives us lots of control in a scissor cut and it helps to section out the hair. Starting at the back is as good a place as any. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the hair in the middle, and that's going to give me access to this hair below, which we can cut in these sections. And the way this is going to work is we'll use the scissor to pick up a section of hair, hold it on the comb, and cut across the spine of the comb. Scissor in, comb underneath. And I keep moving the two down together. So keep working your way down towards the bottom until you get all the way down to the nape of the neck. That's what we call the area where the hair stops growing at the bottom, at the back of the head. We call it the nape. So not much to come off at the bottom. Now we can step to the left hand side of that and repeat the process. So more sections, starting at the top and working your way down. Same method. Getting tighter towards the bottom if you want to taper it a little bit. And then just step to the left one more time. This is all quite straightforward, so we're covering quite a big section at the back of the head here. Don't worry about that fluff there, it will look neat and tidy later. So over to the left of that again, just behind the ear, just work down on this last bit. So again, step to the right this time, and we'll cover this big area here. If you're new to cutting hair, starting at the back is a great place to start. It means you don't have the client staring at your work. So if you're just learning, start at the back. It takes the pressure off a little bit. I'll just pull this hair behind the ear here and get the tip of the scissor right in at the hairline. Okay, so right in just at the edge of the hairline. Scissor in, pick up the hair and cut across the comb. Now we can pull down this hair that we sectioned out. I'm going to take a line from the crown down to the ear and just separate it from there so we've got the whole back of the head. And that keeps us in order. We just have to cut that and then we can move on to the rest of it. So to cut this, what we're going to look for is the short point and build up into the longer hair. So if I pick up from the middle, remember I started right in the middle at the back, there should be a short point at my fingertips. There it is. So I'm just going to follow that up. And just step over to the left, take another section and follow that up. One tip I'll give you is don't get too close to the crown. Okay, so as you cut these sections up the way, try and keep your fingers vertical. Okay, from the ceiling to the floor, just straight up and down like mine are. This will give your haircut more of a shape. If you copy the shape of the skull and you just lift your fingers up like perpendicular to the skull, then it might be too tight of a haircut. So this is really the most commercial type of men's haircut that you could do. I'm going to polish the edge just a little bit here, but I don't really need to because I am going to cut it with the trimmer. So if you don't want to and you're going to use the trimmer later, that's fine. I'll come back to it and make that really neat later. So I'll step over to the right now. Again, keeping my fingers vertical. If you're picking up sections, try not to pick up too much hair in one section. Big sections can often leave an untidy result. Because we took those vertical sections, we now have a little bit of unevenness, which we need to straighten out. So I'm just going to go back to that scissor over comb and I'm going to polish up a little bit. So I'm just looking for little bits of hair that are sticking out. I'm not really taking anything off here. I'm just looking for anything that I've missed or is uneven. There's nothing wrong with double checking your work. So I'm happy with that. Let's move on to the side here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work from the face towards the back of the head. And that's because I am cutting hair right-handed. So it's easy for me to slide the scissor in from the right. When I go to the other side of the head, I'm going to work from the back towards the front because of being right-handed again. So same method again, okay? We're going to take a bunch of sections and then we'll move back and take more sections. Working from the top to the bottom. It's delicate work as you get down towards the ear. Just be careful to keep the comb in front of the ear to protect the ear from the sharp blades of the scissor. So I can step over now. As I get down towards the ear, I'm just going to keep the comb on top of the ear for these last sections. I'll go over one more time, just to make sure it's all joined together. You can see there is a little bit there to cut, just to bring it all into equilibrium. We've got this hair behind the ear, so I'm going to cut away from the ear. I often cut away from the ear, and I always think it's a bad habit to cut towards the ear. However, for some reason on this haircut, I decided that I would cut towards the ear. Loads of people do it, but it's up to you. If you want to cut towards the ear, you can, and if you don't want to, I feel safer not cutting towards the ear. Just trim that there. A little bit of, so it's the hair that sticks out beyond the hairline, basically. That's the sort of stuff you want to tidy up. So again, at this side, remember I said we'd work from the back towards the front here. So I'm separating this hair from the top. We're going to come to that. Pull this down. So lots of sections, again, working from the top to the bottom and back towards the front. Now, if you're watching this in America, I've got an important question that I'm going to ask you soon in this video. It's coming up, so stay tuned. I know someone out there has the answer. It's something I can't find the answer to. So I keep working over, scissor in, comb under. Just trim around the face. We'll tidy up. Okay, so on top, this is optional. You can have a guide, you don't have to. Some people need a guide, I don't, but I'll show you how to do it anyway. So I'm just going to take a strip in the middle, I'll lift it up and I'll cut that strip so that when I take my sections after this, I'll have a guide to work to. So just follow that length. Each time I pick up, I'm going to work from the back all the way to the front. I'll just copy the length. And finally, just one last section, just make sure. Good. So now that we have that line, we can pick up sections across that line from the back towards the front. So there's the line, and we can just pick up these sections, and that line, that short area will be in the middle, so we can cut to that. It keeps you right. It gives you a guide to work to. It's not necessary. You can work just from the back towards the front if you want without the guideline. If you feel confident, just do it without the guideline. What you'll see I'll do is I'll drag the hook of the comb and pin a section down with my fingers and then pick it up, and the short bit's in the middle so I know how far to pick up to, and just cut across that. I'll work all the way towards the front. You can see my phone in the background. Sometimes I film on my phone as well as the camera, so it gives me extra work to do when I edit these videos. I've got two cameras to sort through, but I don't mind. I enjoy making the videos. By the way, I want to just say a thank you to all the members on the channel who have joined recently, and I really hope you're getting a lot of benefit out of the master classes that are available to members in the members section. So thank you very much. Because we cut the middle, we can use that as a guide to cut these side sections. So where that circle was, I'll be able to find some short hair. So I'll lift my fingers up to that and I can cut to that length all the way from the back all the way to the front on the right hand side here. This doesn't complete the top, we need to join it in, and there is the fringe to do, which leads me to my question. So I always call the fringe the fringe. Okay, so, but if you're an American, you don't call it a fringe, you call it bangs. And this is my question, does anyone know where that word comes from? Why is it called bangs in America and it's called the fringe in Europe? We just call it the fringe. I'm baffled by it. I don't know. If someone can enlighten me, anyone, drop a comment down below and tell me if you know, and any other terminology you think I should know if I visit the United States, which I will one day. Now let's join in. So there should be some long hair between the side and the top, and we need to join that in. Regular viewers of the channel will know that I call this cutting corners. Okay, so it's the corner of the head and there should be some long hair sticking out here. We will find some, not so much on that section. There, you see, this is the hair that has been missed between the sides and the top. Watch that it doesn't escape you. Always check and cut the corners off. So my fingers are vertical here like they were when I was cutting from the crown down to the occipital bone at the back. And that keeps it squarer on top. Just a little trim on the fringe, but I am going to come back to that in a minute. If you've never met me, this is me here, Michael, and this is me in my shop in the northeast of Scotland. So, hello. Okay, so I've matched up the other side, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of checking on the other side. Remember, it's good to check over your work. Now, how do we cut the fringe, the bangs? Let's take a look. So, comb it all down, and I want to just rest it on the eyebrow. Now, you can see it has a wave, and it's gonna recoil slightly. So I don't want to pull it straight with my fingers because I don't know what will happen when I let go. So I'm just going to pull it down with the comb, and I'm going to cut across the comb because the comb is straight. Okay. So pull it down onto the eyebrow and just cut. You see how it's curving? The hair has like a curve, a wave to it, but it still sits on the eyebrow when I pull it down. So that's the way to do it. And this way we won't get a nasty surprise when we dry it off, because hair can actually be 30% longer when it's wet. And that's especially true for curly and wavy hair. I would always cut them, curly and wavy, slightly longer, just to factor in that recoil. So I've got the little trimmer work to do. I'm going to hit it with a hairdryer. We'll dry it off, and I'm just finger drying it, blasting it dry. So I'll follow that line from the back of the ear down to the nape of the neck. Watch that you don't trim inside the hairline. That's going to look terrible. You really don't want that. You'll see that there's a real density of hair inside the hairline that hasn't seen any sun for a long time, and you get two different colours of skin. It has no tan on it, and it looks like they've had an operation. So just trim the neck hair only. I'll leave it to you to judge what is neck hair and what is not neck hair. I trust you. You can do it. So at the back there, I'm just going to take the trimmer up just to where, you see where the density of hair is. You see where it's most dense. So bring the trimmer up to around about there, and then I'm going to trimmer over comb. So I can like place my comb in underneath or drag the hair down and just work over the trimmer. This is a good way to shorten it without taking it down to nothing. Okay, so I'm angling my comb out as if it's getting longer as you go up the comb. Trimmer over comb is bread and butter. You'll do that endlessly as a barber. Okay, using the corner now. Corner of this T-blade, I'm just going to work up towards the ear and just frame that. Be careful not to go inside the hairline again, and trim up. I'm blending the facial hair up into the head hair there, and that trimmer over comb, it really works. It's really useful for that. Let's pull this face hair onto the face. What I'm looking for is just the hair that's sticking out. We don't need to make it look unnatural. You know, I don't need to have like a really solid line. This is a classic men's scissor cut. Okay, so it looks a little bit natural. That's really what you're after. So let's check it over. I always check over with this big comb. It gives a lovely texture to the hair. This is a pompadour comb. By the way, everything that I'm using, I will leave links down below. There's links to tools and scissors I recommend, and you'll be able to find that down there in the description of this video. So I'll show the client. Client seems happy. I think he likes it. What do you think? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you've enjoyed this and if it's going to be useful to you or anything that you want to see or want to learn. There is a lot of content now in the members section, in-depth content if you want to learn there. But until next time, good luck with your men's scissor cuts, and I'll see you in my next video.